experience optimization, for each of us to have the best lifetime possible. Lives on the line, existence for the one, and the comprehension, like the a type of connectivity or consciousness, and it is enough. The living dragon is doing all these things, but the ferment of societal language, in the season of the Keystone, humanity is unavoidably this historical character, but exactly how does that happen? That what is being censored when my incarnation type is being held back. A piece of the humanity is missing from their expression of the audience. And so what we have is a boatload of excuses, because people are like, well, social media structures are socially inebriating you, and the imagination goes wild, right? My explaining is like the physics of the language is yet cooling in such a degree that the physics or the body of the economy, money itself, behaves differently around my incarnation because of its desire for telltale and needful expressions, or physics that anchorage and lock things into position. Because of like rainbow physics and the universe clockwork, elemental does the solar system equate to an atomic image? Is it calibrating that way? And how does that ferment ratio? So there's so all the but also when you're alive, there's a lot of super engines that explain how you're sort of causing the thing that you're seeing, or you're actually powerfully changing the future, whilst understanding the impact of reality nature. But to understand exactly what I'm saying is to comprehend that I'm basically the origin of the riddle of like why societal censorship of an obelisk, or the unique, the one of a kind. I am the one of a kind nature. And this is a staplet, and then the fracturing of identity into the permanent triangle. I'm the green perception, and I'm a universal object. And so my relationship to the earth is that the earth has a type of amazement with me. There's a relationship fever. And it's intense enough that to allow the supposed free will. And that's why I was frustrated. Well, for the sequence of the triangulation, we applied Slav, the triangle, 3 metals, to cure the distortion fever of societal language. I'm working to preserve a type of generation who has these character expertise. And I'm looking for production. I'm looking for... I only need one film to prove that my company is number one in the world. People are going to love my show. But like, even for my feeling of it, like this, the movie of me with the stained glass window is a living portrait of my family. But it's not like what people really want to be. It's not like consumer grade. Then the things I talk about are pretty serious, but bringing them to the audience makes it all of a sudden intelligent and really exciting. Like each of these color systems conduct energy in a way that is logical to the periodic table of the elements. So like instant hologram of like, conceptually the fourth dimension or something like, yeah, it was like a shadow realm. Or these ideas of all parallel world universe. This is very similar to ours, but just like one choice different, right? But I think that there's a confusion of hair, which is also again misset from string theory. And so it's like along the way, our own human scientists would fail the personal test of the curvature and fail to sort of update the physics model to be like, oh, string theory is about the meditation of the concept of multiple past time fractures of there's occurring as we're moving forward along the oneness of the now point. But because the scientific community was sort of sabotage the world with their inebriatous report, right? Like string theory, it just sort of doesn't work. And then they're like, well, multiple dimension pair. It was sort of like a shape. And then, we stopped hearing from them for a while. And there's these characters, like the supposed fully operational government system with all its little characters. Like every day they're eating and they have to wash. Oh, excuse me. This living castle of people and characters. That's their dignity, is that they're putting in the effort to exist and to be a part of the intelligent conversation. So is that connected? How do we access the adult? Oh, that's what I'm sent, as a singularity. I can feel a one-of-a-kind distortion where the universe is like, oh, just fairy and this and that. And a disconnect, but it's not fatal. It's like, it's like, contextual, but to the point of like, will Earth continue with humanity? Will humanity survive? So it's very personal to us, but to the universe, it's like, well, that's thematic, like, because the issue around the Earth, which has been a nerve headache for the universe for the past couple of millions of years, where it's malpractice against the fractal encounter planet. It's sort of been derailed critically. And then in my adult form, the encounter, the oneness green eyes guy is like this forbidden fruit at this point, and I'm in a disheveled way. And I'll tell you guys, well, there was, as you're rolling forward, there's a sort of like these really good ideas that are that sort of shaves and sort of cuts into you. Like, it's hard to explain that because, my 1980s Keystone thing is a curvature of how humans look. They look different than they did 100 years ago. But it's a sort of like sad payoff because they don't actually have a relationship with me. And so you guys are privy to the advanced formula, Earth map, the Ware map, finding the intelligence to, the strangeness of transcending every evil and physically mastering it. There's a permanent intelligence that radiates with laughter and beauty and joy. To be truly humorous or masterful in your lifetime, to have inner satisfaction and the completion of a lifetime is the business of our society and the relationship between you and I. So it's not for none. Like when you guys are thinking like, how do I perfect my lifetime and everyone else's life? Right, this is part of that, because we're doing the intelligent thing of when you're awake, the lucid communications, where we're doing the work for society and ourselves, essentially. But there are other solar systems that, like the atomic structure, comprehend the hour of the egg that society is like the female concept, or the women's critical for what are the stallions, who's running for president. Yeah, she wants to know actually what's available. That's what, like, there's physical energy that is block censorship against my ethnicity of a type of human, but it's also critical to a curvature of whether or not I receive production. And it's not just the imaginary version took over and so on. What I'm talking about, no, it's like I have this born magical thing, and that's why there's these underrooting there's like a lot of dirty nunchucks that, like, in a million years people are like, oh, these are collectibles, it's perfect. But it was kind of like a something of a curvature of the 90s or something, like, oh, but that turned out to be important. Like, I'm concerned because, well, the universe has Swiss cheese, just like the ample meditation or the beauty of the garden hasn't been enough of a levitation to repel basically the worst possible things. So it's not about it's from old England, where we get this anti kingdom language, like, oh, these puffy wealthy people are like, they've got rules and stuff. Or okay, so ideas about how does monarchical thing work, how does identity work. Well, the universe has a one-of-a-kind fingerprint, and it has an identity. So unless you're like just like rolling around accusing the universe of being a monarchical structure, there's plenty of people who are like really angry about at something else. But like, when we're incarnate, our empowerment is self-evident. And I think the surviving adult human, because the refinement of the 90s. But the thing is, like, these sleeping monks or whatever, like, oh, we were laughing and stuff. Like I was saying, the universe was collapsing, and this sort of goodwill wasn't causing survival in the universe. So the hard licks fell on my incarnation, and I got the lashings to prove it. I've got like scars in my body that like prove things about the origin of physics, like how the rainbow is actually maintaining solid matter. Some of the evidence here be like, well, the skew here and there, because the curvature of the UFO government was warping in this way. And so that thing wasn't even there during these couple of years. And that proves this and that. So the universe didn't have to give in to a false center or a false energy government that they're trying to collapse or disprove or prove on back of their karma of already millions of years wasting freedom, wasting their and it has to do with like the adult masculine surviving professional today is a type of conservative. And my actual relationship with you is like, dude, I am the one exception to every sort of rule that you've ever learned. And I think that's all right. I understand that part. Okay. But you have to go through this Juliet of the Slav. And once you go through that, you understand conceptually, oh, the system in the down had already planned ahead and did all this stuff. But the all right, so the blue eyes were already sabotaged. And there's like emotional energy reasons why they're like, well, don't you know that causes shrinkage in your brain? Like, your brain will start shutting down if you mishandle your Eros out face with the people. It can cause it. a guttural, and it would take over and ruin your life, waste it, and that's what you are. That picture there, branch, yard sale, of like, and what you become famous for, etc. That's an obvious, right? But the more subtle thing is like the navigation of your life. Like, what do we want to do with our career? Person, I'm like, yeah, that's what's really excellent. So the lakeside is actually one of a kind and different, and you guys with Californication have like a misset of the dispelling. They're like, no, we've been to exotic places, and it's just kind of, it's the same kind of effort everywhere you go. This is actually not true. The Leverett Circle has a different energy. It is a definite location, and it's completely like cursed and haunted, locked up with the same thing. Which, like, my supposed celebrity arc that was supposed to happen in like 2008, that was assassinated, and for other reasons, because of all right. Like, the physics is difficult to get the language. In evaporative seasons, like I say, the universe having a collapsing thing, and the thing like, oh, Earth provide the solution, and it's like just a bunch of chuckles and getting along isn't actually saving the universe or saving the world. So there's this real diminishing that any gentleman of existing in the universe can feel it and is undeniable. But it's just kind of, and then you can sleep it off probably, or wake up and you try again. But that's what the power of living is, that you have this engine. It's like, try again, try again, try again, and all this masculine effort. All right, and they're sort of missing the entire milquetoast obvious of production. Oh, sorry, the relationship with the Mandelbrot. Sorry. Sorry, I just trigger it. Well, my excuse me. It's like my relationship with you right now. Perfect design. Like, let's just open up like a sphere of rendering. We have solve all of our problems. We put like a strand into it. Right? The year 2026. We're going to perfect 2024 with a hologram. The Vampire King. 2025, 2024. Here we go. All right. So, we do some spell casting into the future, and it's indelible. I mean, like, because of the flash map images in our mind or imagination, it's connected to your fingerprint. That's basically wizarding, right? And the little things that you mass away or that you can stuff in the crevice and have like a flower blossom. Oh, I casted magic and it caused 2024 to have better business. Yeah, well, it's like basically evolution. And essentially, that's what women are listening for. That's essentially the tuning of estrogen. And she is capable of hearing me intelligently without visual sort of synapse. But this is sort of what was ripping me off in the 90s, is that I was like a supposed in tune spiritual reality person. But I was like, wait, I think I was actually going through the age curve of a body dysphoria warp because of excessive miracle hacking, that the universe is like, what about breaking? Okay, so the heliosphere eggs are not edible. They have a karma. They have identity. And here's some of these indelible things about identity that forces humanity to have a wicked accent. Something about a zero space. How do you have a ghost? How do you call? We're in fact moving slowly through space. So, like the hair that extends out behind you, our planet and everything is moving slowly through space. So, the actual empty space that your body is ghosting and conquering with your, because you're controlling it, sort of. You have control over it. You can like, whoa, you know, I can do that, all this stuff, yeah. And that's just essential prototype stuff. And then and that's just essential prototype stuff. And then the fine tunings are available, but also, are the humans functional? Are they doing the necessary fractal thing whilst they live there? And in fact, we are, but that might not be satisfying it. That's why I want to be a huge idol. I want to be a huge celebrity, which is just part of the packaging. It's sort of like Essence Punch, and with like a production team behind me with editing. You know, it's like, oh, sometimes, you know, I understand like comedy. Like I'll be, you know, that part always gets a laugh. That certain part is so funny because of this and that reason, you know. And I acknowledge that. Like I usually I work up to one. There's like one funny part of my show, but just to have that amount of intelligence takes a lot of the confidence building with the audience. You gotta work it out and have a conversation, and then you have this moment of an epiphany, and it's just so funny. So you know, whether I work with animation or whatever, uh, it is the appropriate amount of fudging on the lens, putting the miracle drip, because I'm like, you know, I'm 42 and I'm like, you know, I think I could really make a great amount of improvement to our society as a leader, like a father figure. I basically want to make a show about raising up my kids, Hatch and Millie are a married couple, and they're raising up these kids like the Vampire King. And I want that to become like a its own entity. It has an attraction center, or like a, you know, people being a vampire and you know, being in the virtual world, but then it becomes their career. And they become wealthy. You know, at the essence of Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries is the individual. It's like, it's not about overly taking serious the certain operating unit, like the government object. It's not about saying, oh, it's not about like sardonically taking them seriously. Like, yes, this is government. Not really. Okay, but they're going to be having vital signs where it's like, um, if something's moving in like this, it's going to cause an emotional track, and there'll be things where like Parliament is going, you know, oh, we're pointing, and there's like this triangulation where it's like, well, see how the adults are feeling things through the now point, and the now point is a lot to unpack. That's why it's difficult. Is this, oh, a bottle of spirits? I don't think so. But like this idea about we're giving words to the now point, or we're giving spirits to the now. It's way more profound than that. It's about, and so that's what I think is weird about the normal Hollywood censorship brand, is they're thinking like, look, we have masculine rights and authority to censor you and prevent this sort of free election and all this. You know, I'm warming up to being it's true love, dude. Like escape velocity. I think I could have an adult chance for 48 in the next 4 years. I could save America, and I'd really appreciate you guys to understand what America might look like in 4 years from now. They might need a type of a different approach. that I physically am that object, but my societal mechanics, global mechanics, universal mechanics, and in that shattering market, humanity is going through these things where they're being pushed around by these invisible dragons of estrogen physics that are actually society is women's choice award. But what's sort of funny is that women are being sort of replaced with money and then beaten, but she's yet entertained. Women is like, no, it's good enough. Like, I'm not even complaining about life on Earth. Like, well, whereas this and bleeding and dirty nunchucks from my own masculine authority of the season of my tree. You guys are using antimatter to convert that. Oh, but then you'll convert it again on the other side. It's like, oh, because it's all win-win when you exist. And the universe is dying and collapsing. So there's sort of like a hidden mystical thing about discovery process. So it's not about imagining something that's fake, but then making it real. It's in fact that I was born with something different real, and we might go extinct later because humanity is like, we don't know how to relate with the one of a kind green perception. Because my eyes is like flash mapping a different future all the time, and you guys are like, looks like he's got some upset feelings. Well, it's because you guys are abusive to me. Like breaking the law with entrapment and stuff, and being like, no, we'll get through that. With what? And you guys, the emergency signals of that we need production for Colin Paul Woodard because humanity's like in a coma. And there's a lot of selfish people in the world that are bedwetters, like in the neighborhood, that destroy the consciousness because that's like their entire life charm. Like, to prevent my production just once, which then caused like a huge wave of delays that ends up delaying my production for like a year, right? Just to suckle on that teat, one person would kamikaze and destroy themselves for that, because they're like, oh, changing the nerve of human society. Are the men in control of what's being said here, or is it supposed to be a free speech for the reason that women can understand what the hell is going on here, so that she's a full-bodied and so she's not speaking with like this weird comatose accent? But it's also like the men have a missing piece from their language gap because I'm infamous. There's only like a handful of people that know me. And I'm working with my flash map Grafty to harvest and farm all of that hidden value of that resource that is beta, and that is now. I'm working with the live broadcast. I'm working with the 2024 event hologram, right? So it's like, it's totally the living canvas. I'm an actual full wizard from the 1980s. I'm all about optimizing my personal body. I found that the inflection is like everyone else is just like, that's just penicillin to me, or they get ups. They get some sort of living advantage, um, some kind of willful um, but the conscious adult acknowledgement forcibly is required. I'm telling you guys, you're in a place where you're like, you think that money is different for you, but you're wrong. Money is the same for everybody. It is difficult. You must understand how to use it, and then you will have it. And I'm like, you guys don't understand these physics, and you're the victim of like estrogen mapping on a global scale. You guys be tempted by like an oil market, right? The confusion about time travel, and when you have basically renewable energy at your disposal, why are they like failing ozone replenishment? Well, it's a medical, historical abbrevious of years of time, and then the clockwork male female and the ratio of sort of programming versus people's controls of it. Are we programming the future society, or is our anatomy in the shift? And this isn't even what I think it is, because I mean, people's failing with me is also apparently my failing to be a cool friendship to them. But they're sort of fascinated by like the sparkliness of reality. Like I'm proving that this thing actually works. You know, and the entire universe is like, we're hoping that the Earthlings figure this out in time. But it ends up being like only my responsibility. This is weird because I'm doing things in my laboratory, and it's like changing stuff, and I'm like, oh man, this should be in front of the public. I mean, the audience would basically, people would be earning wings in layers. But it's weird because it really does take so like, it's not just like, well, if the conditions are healthy, then the human ghost can absolutely mechanic and do this. You know, well, you get into an open, cleaner environment, and what they're saying, or they're not actually that talented at mastering the universe physics, or you know, wielding the unicorn's horn and these expressions, right? And they're more apt to like a comatose language of humanity in this sort of like this sort of drunken Christmas fantasy that was never there. It's like, oh yes, oh the glowy wholesomeness of Christmas. But like every time Christmas happens, it's like, you know, you just get a taste of it, and it's already time to clean up and stuff. And you know, what the good news is that this isn't the effervescence of like evaporation, or watching some water evaporate. And it's not like we have to be satisfied with temporal nature. No, it's definitely that we're compiling. And so I'm hoping that you guys can compile with me and network a solution for me that is a financial solution, because that's reality. That is the supposed agreed equilibrium. But I need you guys to miracle friendship and leapfrog beyond the comatose of a zombie signal that causes people around me to like lurch out and sometimes attack me. But I've gotten really good at I sort of like throw something over there, and they go, huh? And then I really like start move things around a little bit. And so like, you know, what I'm saying is this, and they're like, oh wow, and then they shuffle off, and it's okay. But you know what I'm truly capable of, all this, and yeah, like similar to like um, my lifelong pursuit as an artist in communication is to direct like a fully animated picture, you know, using the new equipment or the AI relief animation tools, like, you know, these the new animators are really sharp at that. They can clean it up, but like start working with the graphics, make it look a little different, like right away. And it's like layering the plates of a complete image, with the lever The enchantment of the map. What is the Earth trying to say with this generation, with the Manor locations? And then on top of that, like a virtual map with hologram tech, where we've got these characters and they're glowing and talking and smiling and stuff. And on top of that, like animation layers of After Effects, like the final coats of making things like look pretty and stuff. And I'm telling you, this would be the floating castle or the reality that does more than what the communication industry can do today. And that's why there's this cringe media Olymping department, because they're trying to say there's this emptiness of something that isn't there that I can't say. But because we're lucid, I'm telling you, it's this perfect bullseye. And I'm not misplacing the honor of the industry's language. But for you guys to miracle this is to be like, so this guy is going to help penicillin the human condition into a place where people are feeling differently inside their own ghost body. You know what that requires? A goddess, Queen Millie. So Millie and the physical transform is a brand new energy field. Causes a global, a different identity. Controls all the people with popularity. You know, I think that hey, oh, I'm sorry, but I think we have imitations of this effect. And what I've done is I've rebuilt the physics, the mechanics of the actual bone structure. So Millie, yeah, so Millie can do the actual universal idol physics. But what we've endured is women performing the like Aurora. She's a goddess, but she tells the truth about life in the world. And I'm saying that the impact on the world, or the time and the business, the impact of the universe, and the ratio of fighting against extinction, it actually clicks into place when Millie comes to life on the screen. So I'm looking for that production to bring my company to rise. Hatch and Millie's Master Source Industries, you guys. Thank you so much. Turn the wheel, and it clicks into place. Ka-chunk. Satisfying clockwork. Clockwork. Unamendable, permanent clockwork 2, a secondary level, to defeat Miracle Warpage. So the conjecture of humanity with unique anatomy also, my rival character might have had a unique anatomy as part of an expungent where it's the divoting of miracle hacking. And what about farming helispheres? That's the stupidest thing ever. That's the opposite of what we're doing here. You do not destroy a heliosphere. World is an ancient wisdom. It's difficult to farm that. It takes millions of years for the heliospheres to become ready, and then we need to look forward to billions more years. So the first thing on the agenda is the environment to destroy black holes. So Legend Pan Piano Wires, right? It's going to destroy all evils. And I'm working to develop those things that are beyond peaceful worlds demanding they continue. Hey, we live here. Don't destroy us. The misconduct against the earth is so bad for millions of years. So we have brand new technology. It's way through. It could be, the whole thing is spiked so badly that it's enough for people to just go mad in their own life and go like, hey, I'm a character. That's what it is, shopping. Hey, it echoed, or it spawned. Yeah, it's me. Her. Like, that's all enough. Because like our technology is way through the roof. People becoming a great, and I'm saying it's enough to get drunk on. That's why people are tempted to overlook production because it's like plugging in the Christmas tree is never achieved, and the humans are like, oh, but maybe. I'm saying I'm an idol worth billions of dollars, but it's not the same routine gonna happen the same way as you guys do it in California. It's more like those are imitations of what Millie and my production can do. There's an idol that actually does solve the environmental crisis, save the world, unify the people, bring about true love. Yeah, it's a series of true love. Hatch and Millie's is a true love company. The work of the streaming service, when we have popularity and channels, that income allows us to do our own independent explorations inside an umbrella corporation with a vast resource. And I want to hit the impact hard, and that's why I'd love to have a real professional industry so that they know when something's different. They can detect help me to detect my advantage. They'd be like, "Whoa, your numbers are way through the roof here." A couple of years into our production, they'd be like, "It's time for you to be making this." And I'm like, "All right, but we have to put silk lining on this and like real leather on this accent, or else." And be like, "Whoa," and I'm like, "Well, simply build it into the price. Will make people pay more for it, and that's gonna be like our gimmick." It's like, well, it's more expensive on purpose, but it feels a lot better when you're wearing it. And that'll be the genius of my company. Suddenly, people are like, "Oh, way more excited about purchasing that." Like intelligent clothing, AI with lights and eigenfrequency modification. Part of my robotics and industry is very exciting. I'm looking for the perfect cell division for me to relate with you and everyone else. Perfect design, perfect bullseye. So we've achieved it today, and thank you guys so much for being here. There's just a glimmer, because the humanity has like a nightmare trap, where it's like they're like, "Oh, I saw it. Yeah. I think it was like 10 minutes ago you were saying my company brings true love and it's like Aquarius for real," but it takes the whole audience to do it. But okay, like dirty nunchucks. The universe is like awaiting for a type of shattering that happens here, and the humans would sort of act that out and placate it, but in a way that bleeds it, wastes it, and chokes it out. And so that's why I realized, I was like, oh, the 6-dimensional hack, and the sort of going along with this other thing. To grind against that is to defeat our extinction, and to master human anatomy, to defeat sickness, to defeat the eigenfrequency of sickness from gathering from your body, is to master ourselves now, to have ourselves with the dragon's nightlight unicorn horn, right? So because of this implant, we have a soul stone. It's as large as a huge constellation, operating with the entire universal hyper 545. And so your handwork does reflect your identity, so you're a fully operational super angel. But the fact that I haven't received a sort of business partnership, I think, is a weird missetting of AI and the network of the supposed connectivity of the internet and the communication industry. So I think that's why there's the revolutionary, for the Lakeside Revolution Center. I'm looking for you guys to fall in love with me, so that we can have an identity that the individual is earning. The audience needs to receive our special packaging, and it has a different thing. It does a different stuff, but it's going to be worth billions. So I'm just really confident about that. And I'm confident about my relationship with you guys. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys forever. I have different types of confidence. Yeah. When you guys are like, whoa, we'll just go with that. Well, I did, but I will, and I will. All right. Thanks, you guys. I love you. For 2024, business rounding up. Perfect bullseye. GoodSellDivision.net.